Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we are going to be diving into one of the biggest challenges that founders and developers are facing right now, and that is how to use AI to build software faster without getting stuck in the uncertainty that comes with AI-generated logic and code. And we are going to be getting our hands very, very dirty today. So joining me today is Cam, who supports developer education here at Xano. Cam, thanks for joining. How you doing today?
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to talk about how to build with AI.
Yeah, so walk us through that problem that so many developers are frequently facing when they are trying to develop applications with AI.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, been this wave, pretty recently over the last year or two where you can build anything. You just type a couple words and then you have the ability to have technically anything in front of you. And it's awesome, of course, being able to see something just be created, but then you're left with this black box, as you had said, this uncertainty, the things maybe not working the way that you want them to work, or, you going in there and not having the understanding of what's really happening.
Yeah, you generate. I mean, in my experience, I've never gotten the one shot that I hear. It's still it's still like not a mystery.
It's
What does that
elusive.
call it? Yeah, yeah. It's like maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but it's always like 80-90% there. And then I got to figure out, okay, now how do I actually customize this without just endless prompting over and over?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're looking at is that you can do just about anything, but, again, what it comes down to is you get so close. So we're trying to bridge that gap. We want to make sure that we build things and we understand what's actually happening with our applications.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. And I think I told you this before. Like I had lunch a few weeks ago with some friends, and it was kind of a mix of product owners where like they were working within organizations building internal products. A couple of them were like entrepreneurs themselves,
Hmm.
building for like their own product.
Yeah.
And they have been using like a lot of these popular AI tools where you can build a full stack application,
Hmm.
and they like it. It works. But when I asked every single one of them, do you feel like you are working in a black box? Like, do you know what's going on? 100% of them admit, yes, I'm totally in a black box. If something happened, I'm screwed. But hey, it works. And so it's very much like this kick the can down the road mentality that founders are having, where it's just like, hey, as long as it's working, I'll deal with it later. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. There is an ecosystem, right? We're dealing with this ecosystem of your databases, your APIs, and everything that goes into this application. And it's not just here's a part and here's a part. It's okay, here's a part that communicates with this part. And so having an understanding of this ecosystem then allows you to build those applications. Even if you're strictly going in with that AI approach, it still gives you that understanding that, hey, this isn't just an individual piece. These are components that go into a bigger, well, you could say puzzle. And just having that insight, having that clarity, that's what we want to focus on so that we can get you to that point where you do know what your app is doing and how to fix it if it breaks.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's where I feel like what we should be doing today is let's get a demo where we can actually take the viewers through piece by piece of like getting this thing off the ground. You and I had talked about doing this, and I have an idea which we can go over,
Yeah.
but walk us through what the user can expect today, like in terms of this demo.
Yeah. So we're going to get started by, of course, creating a Xano workspace. We're going to make sure that we can go ahead and sync that to our IDE. And we're going to be using Cursor here. We'll go ahead and provide a prompt. We'll build out the backend, and then we'll go ahead and tie that into a front end. Then after that, Brandon, we're going to go ahead and demo it, see if it works, and, just identify areas maybe visually that we can understand on a deeper level so that if anything does break, well, we know what to do.
Sweet, sweet. So you asked me, Brandon, what should we build?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was thinking about it, and I wanted to do something similar to like a two-sided marketplace because it seems like when I talk to agencies, even founders, I swear that's the most common idea that either agencies are building out
Yes.
or that founders have, the Uber for this, the Airbnb of that.
Yeah.
And I thought, let's do the Tinder for founders. So not
I
one
like
for
it.
founders just to find other Tinder for other founders to date, but finding your dream co-founder to build something
Yes.
with. And I think that's a concept that people would be pretty familiar with, so we
I
can
love
kind of
it.
understand what's going on there. I took a first stab at a prompt.
Mhm.
What I did is I just went to ChatGPT, kind of went back and forth on this idea of how I want it to work, at least like the product, and then
Sure.
I had it make me a prompt. It actually gave me a really detailed prompt, and I didn't want that because although that's best practice, I'm hoping we hit some snags along the way so that we can show how when you do hit those problems, you can use Xano to visually debug at least all of like the backend stuff there. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to put together like a little bit more of a basic prompt. I sent that over to you, and that's what we
Yep.
can kind of pull up.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
would love to get your feedback on how we could make this prompt better from your experience.
Sure. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get everything started, and then we can take a look at that prompt. You did send it over. I have a couple notes, nothing crazy, but yeah, let's go ahead and just like hop into this and get the show going. So, um,
Sweet.
for everything to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate here to, of course, our instance. I already have an instance. I need to create a workspace. So let's just go ahead and create a workspace. We'll be building an app here today, and I want to start from scratch. So I'm going to disable the quick start template. Select start from scratch. And we'll call this Tinder for Founders. Why not, right? Pretty simple. And then for our front end, we're going to be using traditional code here. We're going to be using what you could consider vanilla JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. We'll be using Cursor. So I'm just selecting all of these things, and now we'll create our workspace. With our workspace created, we can now go inside our IDE. And again, we're using Cursor, but anti-gravity, VS Code, anything that supports VS Code extensions can work for this. So before we hop into that prompt, Brandon, I just want to make sure everything here is set up correctly. So to do this, I have already installed and I've already logged in to the XanoScript extension, which allows me to just pull up my settings, and I can go ahead and select this login to Xano. I'll select my instance. We'll go to that instance that we're in, and then we'll also see that workspace. So this Tinder for Founders, we'll just go ahead and select it. And here we go. So everything that's happening now, it's essentially just syncing from our UI inside Xano.com to here inside our IDE.
Very nice. So this plugin just allows us to connect directly to our Xano base, our, I was gonna say our Xano base. There's a new name for a new product. Our Xano database,
Yep.
and it's communicating back and forth via XanoScript.
Yeah, so it's going to be the entire application, not just necessarily the database, everything that we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
inside
yeah.
Xano. But that's the magic, right? So what you
Yep.
had seen, I just clicked the set up the AI agent instructions. Pretty important for being able to understand how to build for Xano. So we have that here in our docs. Now, Brandon, this is a perfect opportunity to take a look at this prompt that you have. And I went through the prompt, and honestly, I know that you said you used ChatGPT, and it was in depth, pretty crazy, and you simplified it a bit. I think the way that you simplified it is awesome. So we start off with this product overview. Like, what is this going to do? What is it about? We start off with the idea, and you put here, create an account. We want a founder profile, swiping, makes sense. I love that. Then the required functionality. So not only is it, this is what you're going to do, this is what should happen. And so user accounts, founder profiles, with the ability to upload pieces of information. And of course, most importantly, that swipe system. Perfect. From here, we continue down and we see the what you should produce. So what is it, what your job is, how it's going to work, and then what the outcome is going to be. I love this approach to the prompt. Um, then I add just a couple things for my own, development's sake. As I've been developing, there's a couple tips and tricks I want to go ahead and provide. So what we have here, just initially, please use the docs. We want to increase the context, or we want, of course, context for the agent. So I'm just going to go over here to our docs, and I'm going to drag it so that now my chat has this context. Then I'm going to go ahead and just provide a little couple pointers like, I want the query logic to be simple. I want my loops to make sure that, we're creating the right loops. You don't always have to do these things, but for the sake of tips and tricks, this is what I'd
Yeah.
propose. So, arrays, this is how you should handle them, so on and so forth. And then importantly, I'm using Opus 4.5. You can use anything, but I have found Opus 4.5 to be awesome. So.
Yeah. You've done a lot of testing. You were just telling me last night you burned through all of your Cursor credits. I mean, it's just like, and so I trust, yeah, it seems like when it comes to XanoScript right now, this could change in 2 days. Who knows?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Opus 4.5 is working really well with
Yes.
XanoScript.
I might even get one of those notifications here as we're building, but we'll go ahead and send it. I think this is a good place to start, and we'll see it sync from, our UI inside Xano and our IDE here. So let's just go ahead and send it.
And while this is working here, one thing I forgot to say at the beginning to everyone who's here, if you have questions or comments or anything, please leave those in the chat. Our team is in the chat and they're monitoring it, and we'll answer those right here. At least the team will in the chat. Cam and I can kind of stay focused on building this and everything, but your questions will not go unanswered. So by all means, drop those down there, and we'll do our best to get to those. So, but yeah, so basically this is building it out all inside of the IDE. It's
Mhm.
kind of creating the game plan here. And then on the left, we'll be seeing all of the files populate. And I will say I come from the background of I'm not a traditional developer. I don't know how to like build something in JavaScript. I know the
Yeah,
concepts of, how development works, and the IDE, like downloading VS Code, cursor, what the thought of it was intimidating, but
sure.
working with the XanoScript extension and obviously having that familiarity with Xano, it was way less intimidating than I thought it would be. Like this is, in my opinion, this is the way to build with Xano is inside of an IDE, because you can leverage your natural language to get the concept out there,
Yep.
and then you can just hop over, which we'll see in a little bit. You can just hop right over to Xano
Yeah.
and take over.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, the IDE, I mean, we've seen in previous videos of being able to hook up, your code to front ends, and we take the Swagger documentation, which of course is great. The Swagger
Yeah.
docs living within the API groups inside Xano. But the cool thing about this is that everything exists here locally.
Yep.
And locally, of course, we're syncing it between, our workspace. But regardless, it's here. The API endpoints, the data tables, everything that we could possibly want to have a front end, know exactly what's going on. So I'm excited to show that also in just a handful of moments.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned this earlier. I accidentally said, "Oh, it connects to your Xano database," and you're like, "Well, it connects to everything on Xano," and that is a key thing. Of if you've already been building in Xano, you're familiar that we've got assistants all over the place. Database assistant, there's the logic assistant, API. Like there's all these different assistants that can work within different segments of your backend. But when you're building through an IDE and you bring along one of your favorite models, it very much is like a true co-pilot, to where it has context of not just the context of everything, but can then take action.
Yeah.
So if you ask it for a new feature, it'll know, okay, for that feature to work, you need, these two API endpoints. We're
Hmm.
going to need a new table, and we're going to need these maybe like two functions. And it will
Yep.
then go and build all of those with,
Yeah.
again, all the context, everything. And that's where the superpower unlocks, in my opinion.
One of the things that I really appreciate, yeah, I mean, it really is, it unlocks a whole lot. We're seeing this over on the right-hand side, as it's iterating and coming up with everything. It's able to do so, with consideration for what already exists, obviously. And to your point, if you have like add-ons within particular responses, the system is going to know what data is coming back and then how to build on top of that. So on the right-hand side, we're seeing everything it's done, is what it says. Is it really though?
Yep.
So tables, API endpoints, it has, it's letting us know exactly what to expect with these groups. And then the key logic here. So this doesn't exist inside Xano yet. This has all been built here locally, and we need to now push it to Xano. So what you've seen on the left-hand side, I've just selected my XanoScript extension, and I get to see all of the changes that I've made. I'm going to go ahead and just push all of these to the stage group. So all of these files now are staged. And I'll go ahead and now push all of these files to Xano. So it's letting me know, hey, you're modifying a table. Are you sure you want to? I do. So I'll just push the changes. And yeah, we'll just give it a couple moments. We'll see in the bottom left at work here.
Now, if there's someone who's watching who's thinking, okay, I have a Xano workspace already, I've started to build some tables, I've got some functions, can they just plug their existing workspace
Oh, yeah.
into an IDE like this and take it from there, or do they got to start from scratch?
Yeah, good question. No, they're not going to have to start from scratch. Everything is, well, you're going to be able to sync it. And I want to show you that. So it isn't just from scratch. You're going to be able to start from scratch, or if you have an existing project. But, what's that look like actually? So let's tab back on over, and we can actually see everything has been pushed over. So we have our groups, we have our data tables. Now it's like, okay, well, that's awesome. What about our API endpoints? Perfect. We have our API endpoints here as well. So we can take a look at everything that's been created. One of the things, the swipe functionality itself, pretty important. Swipe left, swipe right. Want to make sure that that works. So how does it work? And what I love about this is that we have a lot of different modes. We have the canvas mode, we have the stack mode, or if you really want to see what you just wrote, you can also see that inside Xano itself. I love this because we get this like N8N kind of, view here where if you're a technical builder or if you're a project manager, it doesn't matter who you are, you can come in here and you can see this is how the application's working. And that's what we're seeing. Cool. We're getting records, we're having preconditions, and even this still might be a little challenging to follow. So we have this
Yeah.
enhanced descriptions button down here. I'm going to go ahead and click this real quick, select all descriptions, and now we should be able to further enhance what we're seeing. So just give it a couple moments.
Yeah, this is such an underrated feature of Xano's, like switching over to that canvas view to take advantage of that enhanced descriptions, because even if there are descriptions, it always one-ups whatever descriptions are there. And even if you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
building with AI, you're someone who just like took over a project from someone who built this 6 months ago and you're trying to understand what's going on. Those enhanced descriptions are great. And you could even like pop open that logic assistant button and say, can you explain what's going on here? And it does a phenomenal job at describing everything so that you always have context as to what's going on.
Yeah. And, it's not just the top level too, it's all of the sub levels. So if we want to go ahead and click into, further what's happening, we get to see that, well, we still get those descriptions populated. And
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing here. So if this, we're swiping right, the direction's right, then, well, we follow this logic. Now, this isn't just, of course, going to stay here. You had asked, well, what happens if you have values already, like a project in development? Can we bring that into our IDE as well? So we don't have to start from scratch. And what I want to do real quick is just head right back into our IDE so I can show you what that pull process looks like. So we'll go ahead and pull these changes. And what we'll do is we'll actually head to our APIs. We'll go to our founders and we'll go to our swipe real quick. So these do have descriptions, right? This is what we were just looking at inside Xano. But what we're also seeing here is that maybe these descriptions aren't, the ones that we had just written. So let's give it a second here.
And what I love about XanoScript is its readability. Again, for someone like me who, if I saw a bunch of JavaScript, I could kind of follow along. But the way XanoScript is written, I guess very pseudocode like, it's very easy to see, okay, input. Okay, yeah, it's taking this. I can see it's got the descriptions, and it makes following along really easy. And I love how on the left, the navigation, when you're looking at that file explorer, it's organized the exact same way it's organized over on your Xano
Yeah.
backend, to where it's, again, it's just very easy. Like, where are my
One of the
APIs?
things.
These are the APIs. It's awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, one of the things I'm seeing, though, is that my cursor has errored. This is just, of course, this isn't going to be related to anything other than my cursor. I probably need to update. So let me just close it real quick. I'm going to go ahead and just open it right back up. So 1 sec. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to pull these changes in, but I can't do that if I have a push operation in progress. The push operation has already gone through that we saw. So my cursor is just being a little silly. But still, we should be able to pull these changes in. Here we go. And now we should be able to see that this actively updates. Let's see here, 33% completed.
And vice versa, which is,
There we
hey,
go.
there we go.
So, of course, I need to update my cursor. That's one of the things as you're developing. If you run into an issue like, hey, why isn't this working? Close it, reopen it. That age-old, turn it off, turn it back on.
Yep.
But that's what we're seeing here. So amazing. These descriptions have updated. Now we have a better understanding if we're developing within our IDE, what's happening. Say somebody might be developing within the UI. We can sync it,
Yep.
see what's going on. So amazing. Now we're pretty close to being able to actually have everything work. We have a backend. We can take a look at our logic here. So our swipe, and then of course the feed. This is where we're going to be able to see one another. What we're seeing here, and it doesn't matter which view, canvas or stack, we're essentially just going to be grabbing the IDs of people we've swiped on. We're going to be making sure that when we query them here, that we're not including them with this not in. So here's our not in operator. Perfect. So profile completes true, and we haven't already swiped on them. That's essentially what we're going to be looking at here. So let's go ahead and preview and publish. And well, now we go ahead and tell our system, hey, we have a front end. Let's go ahead and modify that front end. So we got to go back inside cursor for this. Now, we do have a front end. This is something that we haven't really talked about a whole lot, Brandon, but I know that I had shared some details with you. That's in our static folder here. We have, well, files. So this is our front end, and we just need to update it. And it's probably never been easier to say, hey, our static folder just needs to be updated. If I could type.
Yeah, and that's one thing, what Xano does look for, I guess one of the requirements that is key is that there is a static folder. And the nice thing is I don't know if this is a recent addition to the XanoScript extension, but there is as part of that docs folder, there's front end guidance for the agent that tells it, hey, if you're building a front end, here's what you need to keep in mind. And so usually it's pretty good now when I'm testing it. I don't even need to create the static folder. The IDE goes ahead and makes it for me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
this is this is like my new favorite way of just like spinning up a front end.
Yeah, it, it really is. It's probably never been more simple. Plus, it's with your backend in mind. So
Yeah, that's the key thing there. Yep.
I'm just going to let it know, hey, our static folder needs to be updated with the newest endpoints. Please use the canonical URLs, and the new base URL is this. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to use Opus 4.5, and I'll go ahead and click send. It's going to go ahead and do all the things it needs to do. And then in just a moment, I'll be able to actually test that front end. So we'll see it work.
Yeah, and this is what again, it's another underrated. I mean, this is one of our newer features with Xano is static hosting that comes available on all paid plans, and it's. I mean, you think about the cost savings that you get with Xano. Like, there's so many subscriptions that you could have in place of Xano, and it's like I can cut 80% of these out. I can get my hosting now. Again, there's different types of hosting. Like you're not going to get the server side rendering, and if that's important for your application, then obviously Vercel or the other places are fantastic for that. But even if it's just for prototyping, or you're going to have just like more of a static, right, just like a single page application, the hosting on this, it's all just pulling as long as your instance resources are powerful enough, then you can handle whatever traffic you want to send that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
But prototyping is just awesome because you can test on the API endpoints in the back end,
But
but it's
having
just
that actual
nice.
front end is amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just nice.
Yeah.
Hey, like let's see if sign-in works. Like, yeah, I could go to the sign-in, API endpoint and test it there, but it's just fast to say, okay, we're hitting a problem. Now I can diagnose in the back end saying, is this a Xano problem or is this a front end problem? Because
Yep.
that's
Yep.
usually where you run into the errors. It's not really Xano, it's the front end trying to connect with Xano there. And as the documentation improves, it's going to get easier and easier for the success rates to go high
Oh,
for
yeah.
like those first time prompts.
Now, what I'm seeing here, or what we're seeing here is that it's going to update all of the HTML. It's going to be the CSS, the JavaScript. So everything works. But as you may have experienced yourself, if you're just prompting and, you're not being super articulate or concise, it might forget a couple things and it might look like it works. And that's the problem with still the front end aspect. We have the visual back end aspect, but it's that visual front end aspect that, still is that black box. So we're able to go ahead and make sure our entire back end is good to go. It might just require additional prompting here for that front end for it to fully work. But I do want to also say that you can either build everything. Let's say you have a React app, you can build it here and then push it to Xano, or you can push that React project to Xano and we'll build it there for you as well. So a lot of different utility to find within this front end hosting, but it's personally, yeah, like you had said, amazing for being able to just test things for it to work. Here's your front end,
Yep,
So
100%.
wow, it has done a lot, and it's also giving us a lot of information. It's telling us what it's fixed. We're coming from this front end already existing. And Brandon, to that, a lot of people probably are going to be coming from Lovable or Bolt or any other area where they have a front end.
Yeah.
So that's what we're showing here. Now it's a matter of course, pushing this front end, and we try to make it as easy as possible. And there's two ways to do that. You can either go to your cursor settings and find where it says upload static files. Or you can go right to your Xano script and you can go ahead. Let's go down to upload static files here. Click this. And in Xano fashion, your API endpoints can either be in draft state or, on production. Same thing here for our front end. We get the option to select between development and production. We'll select development and we'll send it through. So it's just going to go ahead and spin up. It's going to go ahead and push everything there and we'll just check it out in a couple moments.
And for those who are maybe developing on something like, Lovable or Bolt, where they have a front end building, platform that they really like, the beauty is I mean, Xano has always been front end agnostic. You know, whether it's through APIs and now even just like bring your own code. Like there's no front end builder with Xano, but if you want to build in Cursor or wherever and host your code over here, you can absolutely do that. But if you want to keep it on Lovable, like Cam said earlier, you can give it like we auto document the swag. We auto document your APIs with Swagger documentation, and we'll have our team put a link in the chat to a video that you did a little bit back a while back that is still relevant today of how you can take an existing Xano database and connect it to something like a Lovable front end. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, this is still my favorite method because again, it has all the context of everything going on. So the accuracy is going to be really high.
Yeah, you don't need those Swagger docs anymore. You have everything within that IDE. But
Yeah.
yeah, so let's go ahead and take a quick look real quick. Oop, I accidentally refreshed, but we're going to just navigate to our settings. So we're just going to navigate here to our setting. Oh, not our, I'm sorry, not our settings. We're going to go to our library. We're going to go to our library and we're going to go to our static hosting, where we get to see here that we have this static folder or the static resource. We can go ahead and click on it. And then we have the option of selecting either the production, but we didn't push it to production, or the dev environment. So we'll go ahead and select this dev environment. And this is our front end. So Brendan, I'll go ahead and send you this link real quick.
Sweet.
I just sent it to you, so you should be able to go ahead and sign up along with me. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. So let's see here.
All right. Just made my account. Now I'm filling out my profile.
Sweet.
All right.
I'm going to be technical engineering. My skills, I'm going to say Xano. I like to build in Xano. A little bit about me. And what I'm looking for, Brendan, what have you put? What am I looking for?
I'm looking for someone who's good at Xano. I need a good Xano developer.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is someone who needs someone who's good at Xano.
I think I put my I put myself as like a marketing
Perfect.
person, so I forget what my skills were, but
I'll see you in just a second here. Brandon, that is you.
There we are.
I love attention. I'm going to give you so much of it. Let's go ahead and swipe. Go ahead and do me a favor. Can you go ahead and swipe on me?
Yes, just swiped. So now it's showing me that it's a match, but I swiped after you. So
Sweet. Cool. So if I go to my matches, here you are. And then I can click on you. And we should be able to say hello to one another. So I'll just go ahead and say hello. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy, one. I hit the wrong key. Yeah, look at that. That's yeah. Now we got our own messaging back and forth, all
amazing,
powered in Xano. This is awesome.
Now there's a little bit of like this front end, of course, that might need a little bit of love. Like these image or the messages are fully stretching, but of course, what we have is this backend functionality. So I mean, what we can do is go back to our backend here to actually see under our database. We can go to our match, and that's you and I right now. Perfect. So it's working. Everything from the front end is now sending to the back end, our messages. That's you and I. So we've done it. We have here the back end that's been fully built within Cursor or our IDE of choice. We can go back inside our UI to see what's happening visually. And in the event anything comes up, well, we know what's happening because we can visually see exactly what is. So that's how you do it.
Yeah, and this is like, I think it's not only the fact that we got this set up and that it's working, and yeah, we could use, Xano's backend visuals to, validate some things, fix some errors when they come up. But I think most importantly is now we have full visibility into this app. I feel like so often, especially in this like new vibe coding area, we put so much focus on the front end. Does the front end work? When the user does this, does that, but then they don't know exactly what's going on in the back end. And so if they were to ever hand this project off to another development team or to expand their team, if they don't understand the code, how would they? Like, it's going to take them a long time to have to go through.
Exactly.
And so and especially this is the case when you are either like an agency and you're handing this off to a less technical owner, or you're working with folks who don't know code. And they can go through and say, okay, what do our API endpoints do? And it walks you through, and whatever visual you want, whether it's like that, Canvas style, if it's the stack, that's where it gets powerful. Is Xano kind of becomes its own language that really any human can understand, because it's all about the business logic. How does this work under the hood? And as we enter this era where front ends, I mean, who knows what the future of front ends are? Like, is everything going to be handled via MCP within
Yeah,
chat? And like, that's where the users want to be. And so, when you're
true.
so focused on the front end, like the product is the back end. That's where the product is. And so that's why we believe here at Xano, that's the most important thing, is
Oh
that
yeah.
you understand 100% of what's going on in the back end. Because if you don't know, nobody knows.
Exactly. Well put. If you don't know, oh man, well, good luck.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, cool. So I guess a few things that I want to go through. Obviously, what we did, what we just saw, we just built a full application, everything from the front end to the back end, to the APIs. And we did all of that. In today's case, there's many ways you can kind of slap these ingredients together. We did Cursor and Xano, and that includes even the hosting of the front end files, which you don't have to
Yep.
do, but
Yep.
hey, it's an option there
Yep.
with Xano if that's something you want to do. And are we going to sit here and act like we're the first people to ever, vibe code this full stack application? Obviously not. But there are some key unique takeaways that I do want to highlight before we wrap up.
Sure.
First, we'll start with speed. I mean, this is what draws developers to AI in the first place, is speed. If developing in Xano wasn't fast enough, developing through an IDE, whether that's, like you said, anti-gravity, Cursor, Windsurf, there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
It's insanely fast, even for someone like me who is not a traditional developer that knows how to code. And then the other options that we're seeing here, these are all like the key areas that we're focused on, right? Clarity and flexibility. So it's understanding how everything works.
Yep.
And then again, when you're debugging or whether you're handing it off, you can visually see what's going on and have that flexibility. Like, I think,
Yeah.
was there any times, Kim, where I think you were fixing, I can't remember, like, we've done so many demos and stuff together, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you're just in the IDE and you just want to just type the Xano script immediately right there, right? Like, you
Sure.
can kind of choose.
Sure. Yeah. Especially, I mean, there's different modalities to, approach this from. So if you are learning the syntax and are comfortable with writing a Xano script, if you run into an error, you don't need to burn tokens by saying, please fix this for me. It's very simple to just go in there and fix it. But I mean, you can also go in the UI, create an example of what you're trying to do within XanoScript by just dragging, the different functions and then taking a look at that XanoScript inside Xano to see, well, maybe how you should have it within your IDE. So there's a bunch of different things, bunch of different ways to be able to develop.
Yeah. And then obviously that reliability there. I mean, that is,
Hmm.
in my role here at Xano, like, that's been one of the biggest surprises. I mean, what hooked me on as a Xano customer years ago was just the ease of building, and again, not having to know how to code a database and manage all that stuff. But
Sure.
as
Hmm.
I've been working with a lot of agencies, especially, and I asked them, why are you using Xano over other platforms, which in some cases are arguably faster? And it's always a big there's like a number one thing that comes up, and that is, I can trust Xano because I know the security there. The security is there. The compliance is there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in our space that has all of the compliance offerings that we have, and so it's like, that's why it truly is enterprise grade. It's not like a
Yes.
marketing term. You can build an enterprise grade application on Xano,
Absolutely.
and and again, like, not just with the compliance, but the visibility that is so important on the enterprise level. Or if you're someone who's on the younger side of the company and you're trying to get investment, you're gonna have a hard time getting investment when the investors are asking, like, okay, well, tell us about the business logic behind the scenes. If you're just like, I don't know, let me ask AI what's going on, like, you're gonna
Gemini,
have
can
a
you
tough
explain
time.
this
Yeah.
code base, please?
Yeah, yeah. We're not there yet, at least, like, right? Like, and I don't know if we'll ever be. Like, the owner has to know what's going on exactly within their
Yep.
application.
Yep.
Otherwise, you don't really own the product. Someone else does. Maybe it's just that
Yeah.
invisible AI in the sky that owns it. And like, okay, well, can we give that AI money? Like, well, we don't need you if you don't even know what's going on. So the reliability is there, and that's always really nice with Xano. And then of course, just the future proofing.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think Xano is such a horizontal product. It's such a flexible product, and the fact that, like, we're not trying to be everything. We just are trying to be like, this is the place where all of your backend logic and stuff
Yeah.
can be organized and hosted, and you don't have to worry, like, about getting vendor lock-in or anything like that. Like, again, we're front end agnostic. Like, you can kind of build however you want. Like we plug into large enterprise systems, and some
Yeah.
startups they run entirely on Xano with like their front end and back end. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of
100%.
choices there, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's very exciting to see where we go, but I hear that, from time to time, that vendor lock, and that's always been something mentioned. I'm taking a look at the Xano script. Well, that's as far away as from vendor locking as you can get. So, it doesn't matter the modality again. It doesn't matter, much. You have the ability to visualize it. You have the ability to build in whichever way. And on a deeper level, truly understand it. And that's what makes Xano Xano.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Cam, I appreciate it, man. Like, we would not be able to do this without you. Obviously, I mean, anytime I need something built, you're the guy I call to kind of show me through like the latest and greatest way. And hopefully, this was valuable
Oh, yeah.
for everyone watching. So we'll
Glad
go
to be
ahead
here.
and wrap it up. Yeah. We'll wrap it up here. And I will say that for everyone who is watching, our team is going to be sticking around in chat, for a few more minutes. So if you do have questions, don't hesitate to ask. And if you're someone already developing in Xano, we would love to know how you're liking, the Xano script extension, if you've been using it. And if you have feedback on how it could be better, by all means, let us know, whether it's, in the community, on social, like highlight those cool projects you're working on. Give us that feedback because we want to make this as valuable as possible for every single developer out there who's utilizing it. And for those of you who might be newer to Xano and you saw some stuff today that you want to take advantage of, we definitely invite you to take Xano for a spin. We've got awesome free build accounts that you can get going. You can start
Oh, yeah.
building in an IDE right now for free. You don't need a paid account. I think the only thing that we showed today that you would need a paid account for is the static hosting, but it's well worth it in my opinion. But if you wanted to host your front end somewhere else, then by all means, that's great. You can still take advantage of all of the power that XanoScript offers. So you can go to xano.com and sign up for that account today. But until next time, happy holidays from the Xano team, and happy building in Xano over the nice holiday break. Hopefully coming up for many of you to take it easy and catch some cool vibes as you're coding with Xano. So
Awesome.
have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.